Some betrayals don't come from strangers. They come dressed as smiles, wrapped in warm words, hiding quiet jealousy underneath. I learned that on the day meant to be the happiest day of my life. My name is Claire, and the day I was supposed to celebrate love became the day I finally saw the truth about the people closest to me. For most of my life, I was the quiet one in the family, the dependable one, the one who never caused trouble, while my older sister, Vanessa, always seemed to shine brighter. She was charming, confident, beautiful in that effortless way people notice the second she walks into a room. My parents adored her, friends admired her, even strangers were drawn to her. And somehow I was always standing in her shadow. I told myself it never bothered me, but deep down it did. Not because Vanessa was brighter, but because every time I found my own light, she found a way to dim it. When I got accepted to college, she announced her engagement the same week. When I bought my first home, she suddenly hosted a lavish party just to steal attention. And when I met Ethan, the kindest man I had ever known, Vanessa smiled at me, but her eyes looked strangely cold. She hugged me and whispered softly, "I'm happy for you, little sister." But it didn't feel like happiness. It felt like warning. Still, I ignored the feeling because I believed love was stronger than jealousy. I believed family would eventually choose kindness. And most of all, I believed my wedding day would be sacred, a fresh beginning, a day untouched by old wounds. The venue was beautiful, soft white roses, golden lights hanging like stars, music floating gently through the air. Everything looked magical. I stood in front of the mirror, wearing my gown, tears quietly gathering in my eyes. Not from sadness, from gratitude. I had finally built a life that felt peaceful, a life that was mine. Then my maid of honor rushed into the bridal suite, pale and shaking. "Claire, you need to see this." She handed me her phone, and in that moment, my heart stopped. There, spreading across social media, was a post claiming Ethan had been secretly seeing another woman for months. Photos, messages, anonymous accusations. The post was exploding online. Guests were already whispering downstairs. My wedding was becoming a scandal before I even walked down the aisle. My hands trembled so badly I almost dropped the phone. I could barely breathe. Was it true? Had the man I trusted shattered everything? Or was someone trying to destroy me? But what I didn't know that moment was that the betrayal wasn't coming from Ethan. It was coming from someone smiling in the front row, waiting for my world to fall apart. The room around me felt suddenly cold. Every beautiful detail, the flowers, the lights, the music, felt distant, like a dream fading into darkness. I stared at those photos again and again. Ethan with a woman I didn't recognize, a hand on his arm, a blurry image that looked intimate, text screenshots filled with flirtation, and one cruel caption, "Ask the groom where he was last Friday night." My chest tightened. Tears burned my eyes. For one painful moment, I believed it. I believed my happiness had been built on a lie. Then Ethan burst into the room. His face was pale but determined. "Claire, none of this is real," he said, breathing hard. I looked at him, shattered. How can I believe that? He stepped closer. "Because I know exactly who made it." My world froze. He showed me security footage from the rehearsal dinner. Vanessa, standing near Ethan's phone while he spoke with guests, quietly taking it, using it, returning it minutes later. Then more evidence appeared, edited photos created from innocent moments, fake message screenshots made using copied texts, and anonymous accounts traced back to a device registered in Vanessa's name. My own sister. The person who hugged me, the person who smiled in my face, the person who whispered she was happy for me. She had planned this. Not because Ethan hurt her, not because I hurt her, but because she couldn't stand seeing me happy. I sat down shaking with heartbreak, not from romantic betrayal, but family betrayal, that deeper wound, that quieter destruction. I remembered every moment she stole from me, every celebration she shadowed, every compliment that somehow became about her, and suddenly I saw it clearly. Vanessa never wanted me ruined, she wanted me smaller, so she could always feel bigger. I wiped my tears slowly, and something shifted inside me. The pain didn't disappear, but strength rose beneath it. Calm, sharp, steady. I turned to Ethan and asked quietly, "Do we have proof?" He nodded, enough to expose everything. I looked in the mirror at the woman in white, trembling but standing. Then I smiled for the first time since my world cracked. "Good," I said softly, "because then let her have her moment, because mine is coming." Until everything changed. The ceremony began 30 minutes late. Guests whispered behind polite smiles. Rumors floated through the room like smoke. And in the front row sat Vanessa, perfect posture, soft smile, pretending concern, like she was the storm. I walked down the aisle slowly, head high, heart steady. And when I reached the altar, instead of beginning vows, I turned toward the crowd. "I almost canceled today," I said quietly into the microphone. Silence filled the room, because someone tried to convince me that love built on trust was actually built on lies. Vanessa lowered her eyes dramatically, pretending sadness. Then the projector behind me lit up. Security footage, Vanessa taking Ethan's phone, digital reports showing fake screenshots, account records linking anonymous posts directly to her. Then audio played, Vanessa's own voice speaking to a friend. "If Claire's wedding falls apart, maybe people will remember who really deserves attention." Gasps swept across the room. My mother looked stunned. My father looked broken. Vanessa's face turned pale. "No," she whispered, "that's twisted." But truth has a voice louder than lies, and hers was finally exposed. She stood up trembling, tears falling not from sorrow, but from collapse. Years of jealousy had finally revealed themselves. Guests looked at her with shock, some with disappointment, some with pity. She quietly walked out, her perfect image shattered by her own choices. No screaming, no dramatic fight, just silence. The kind that follows truth, the kind that changes everything. Then I turned to Ethan, and this time we spoke our vows. Real ones, honest ones, built on trust that survived a storm meant to destroy it. Months later, Vanessa tried reaching out. Long messages, excuses, regret wrapped in soft words. But some wounds teach distance, and distance becomes peace. Today, my life is quieter, smaller in some ways, but fuller in the ways that matter. Love, truth, freedom. I learned a painful but powerful thing. Not everyone who claps for you wants you to win. Some people smile while quietly hoping you fall. But when your heart is honest, their shadows can never block your light forever. Because truth always rises. And when it does, the people who tried to ruin your story become nothing more than a chapter you survived.